everyone and welcome back to Paddock Chats with RS. The Olympic 100 meters men's sprint race happened on the same weekend as the Hungarian Grand Prix. The winner was Italy's Lamont Marcel Jacobs. Marcel Jacobs, one of the world's fastest men, was there to see the fastest cars battle it out at Monza, the Temple of Speed.
This race was at Italy, Monza, the Temple of Speed. It is called the Temple of Speed as it is here where Formula One achieves its top speeds. Cars will be near 350 km per hour at the end of the main straight, and there are very few braking zones where cars run with as little downforce as possible. It has a track length of 5.793 km and is a 53-lap race. The order for this race was decided by the sprint qualifying method, similar to the Silverstone race this year in the UK. For more information about this format, I suggest you watch my video, What is F1 Sprint Qualifying? The starting grid for the race, decided based on this sprint qualifying race, had Max Verstappen in the Red Bull on pole and interestingly followed by the two McLarens of Daniel Ricciardo and Lando Norris. Lewis Hamilton could only qualify 4th and the two Ferraris of Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz were 5th and 6th. In his home race, Antonio Giovinazzi started 7th, followed by Sergio Perez in the second Red Bull at 8th. The final row was filled by Lance Stroll in the Aston Martin and Alonso in the Alpine at 9th and 10th respectively. The rest of the field started in similar grid positions seen so far this year, with the exceptions being Bottas and Gasly. Valtteri Bottas had a great qualifying and sprint race by finishing first in both, beating both the championship leaders, but he had to start from the back of the grid as a penalty as he had to use additional power unit elements. Gasly, who won the Italian Grand Prix last year, started last as he crashed at the first lap of the sprint. True to the season's trend, the first corner saw a tough fight between the first row cars of Max Verstappen and Daniel Ricciardo, but this time we had a surprising leader at the end of the corner. Daniel Ricciardo, who was quick and held a great racing line to beat Verstappen to the corner. Norris followed in 3rd and Hamilton was chasing in 4th. The high-speed battle continued onto the second Della Roggia chicane, where Hamilton had overtaken Lando Norris and was side by side with Verstappen. Well into the middle of the chicane, with Verstappen in the racing line, Hamilton couldn't find space and had to push himself onto the sausage curbs and get out of the pursuit, losing his 3rd spot as well to Lando Norris. Meanwhile, a creditable 7th place start for Giovinazzi went to waste when he spun and lost his front wing after being clipped in the left rear by Carlos Sainz. The mistake lied with Giovinazzi as he dangerously came back into the track after overshooting in the chicane. This brought in the virtual safety car, where all cars had to drive in the same order without overtaking until the safety car instructions were released. Post the safety restart, the next interesting battle was between Lando Norris and Lewis Hamilton in 3rd and 4th positions in lap 12. This was a 300 km per hour top speed chase with all along the Curva Grande and all the way towards the Della Roggia chicane again, with Hamilton trying to get past Norris for the 3rd spot. While Hamilton came close to overtaking, all the way in this battle, Norris held on to 3rd place brilliantly. While this was happening, Ricciardo was driving strongly, keeping Verstappen at bay from getting close to him. In the first round of pit stops of the first front runners, on lap 22, Daniel Ricciardo pitted and moved down to 7th place, with Verstappen P1, Norris P2 and Hamilton P3. The following lap, Verstappen pitted too. We all know Red Bull is known for their under 2-second pit stops, and we were expecting a similar stop this time too. But no, Verstappen was stuck in the pits for 11.1 seconds. While Verstappen was stuck in the pits disastrously, Hamilton overtook Norris to get to P1 and Verstappen rejoined in 9th place. After gaining greatly in lap 26, Hamilton pitted for a regulation pit stop, but had a slow pit stop as well, lasting 4.2 seconds. Hamilton was poised to come out in 7th place with Verstappen 8th, bringing back the championship contenders to battle it out again. This brings us to the most dramatic part of the race. As Hamilton was coming out of the pits, well within the white line at the exit of the pit lane to join in towards the first Rettifilo chicane, the two championship contenders came side by side with Hamilton, seemingly ahead, where Hamilton was on the inside and Verstappen on the outside. As they turned into the chicane, Verstappen was trying to power ahead and find space to get ahead by the exit of the turn. but there was space only for one car and it looked like Hamilton had the advantage, which he was exercising to maintain it that way. At this point, the unrelenting Verstappen plowed his way into the turn but only found Hamilton's rear end of the car to turn into, taking both of the championship protagonists out of the race. This incident looked like Red Bull the lawnmower mowing over Mercedes the grass. When Verstappen got out of the car, his rear end of the car was still perched on Hamilton's nose of the car, with Hamilton still inside the car. Once again, we thank the halo. As you can see here, there is a point where the Red Bull is right on top of Hamilton. This protective layer on the cockpit was so efficient that Hamilton could walk off without a scratch. Another notable point is the reflection of the rivalry between these two being so fierce, like many other legendary duos of the past, where when Verstappen got out of his car, he didn't even check for Hamilton's wellness inside the car, which normally drivers do to each other when there are crashes. The race was immediately yellow flagged, with Ricciardo in P1, Leclerc in P2 and Norris P3. The race restarted on lap 31 of 53, where Ricciardo held P1 and Norris overtook Leclerc for the second spot. Perez was 4th, Sainz was 5th and Bottas was 6th. In lap 32, while Perez was fighting with Leclerc for the 3rd spot, he went off the track to the sausage curbs and still rejoined to be ahead of Leclerc, for which he got a 5-second penalty. Meanwhile, Mick Schumacher spun after making contact with his Haas teammate Nikita Mazepin, the kind of spin Mazepin has been holding copyrights for this season. In lap 33, Bottas and Leclerc were having a heated battle for the P4 spot, which Bottas secured. Bottas' next target was Sergio Perez. They had an extremely interesting battle in lap 43, with Bottas getting the upper hand and moving to the P3 spot, which he promised his team at the start of the weekend. The checkered flag had a new winner for the season, Daniel Ricciardo. He won a slam of sorts by winning the Italian Grand Prix, the fastest lap point and the driver of the day vote. His last victory was in 2018 in Monaco, and after this win, when people were saying he's back, he retorted saying he never left. Norris finished a creditable second, giving McLaren their first 1-2 finish since 2012. Norris exhibited the gentleman in him by not challenging Ricciardo for P1 in the interest of the 1-2 finish for McLaren. Bottas finished 3rd and earned crucial points for Mercedes. The two Ferraris of Leclerc and Sainz finished 4th and 6th on their home track. Perez finished 5th, Stroll 7th, followed by Alonso in 8th, with Russell and Ocon taking the last 2 slots in top 10. Latifi was 11th, Vettel was 12th, Giovinazzi was 13th, Kubica was 14th and Schumacher was 15th. We saw 5 DNFs in this race, Verstappen, Hamilton, Mazepin and both the AlphaTauris who retired very early in the race. Max Verstappen still leads the Drivers' Championship by 5 points and Mercedes leads the Constructors' Championship by 18 points. Congratulations to the McLaren team taking them ahead of the Ferraris in the championship.
The accident we saw was dramatic for so many reasons. One thing which surprised many was Verstappen climbed out of his car and headed straight to the pits without checking to see if Hamilton was okay. Drivers, irrespective of their fierce racing battles on track, always care about the well-being of each other, especially if there's a crash. We didn't see this in the racing incident. So what do you think is going to happen in the Russian Grand Prix? Verstappen starting in the back of the grid and Hamilton is starting P4. Will Norris be able to claim the P3 spot in the Drivers' Championship starting first for the first time in his career? Thank you for watching everyone. I hope you enjoyed.